Hello, everyone. From everyone here at Breach Pro, we want to welcome you to today's session on employee identity theft and what your firm can do to address this issue. My name is Kittersky Johnson. I work with Breach Pro, and I'd like to introduce you to today's presenter, James Harrison, the founder and CEO of Invisys, a cybersecurity and identity theft risk management company. A pioneer and leading expert in cybersecurity, identity theft, and data breach protection, James has trained and spoken to several major industry trade groups and associations, including the ALA, about critical security issues and best practices for businesses in today's digital age. It's possible that you might have also spied him at the annual conference in Texas. He's a well of knowledge, and I've certainly enjoyed working with him over the years. But before we turn the time over to James, please note that a recorded version of this webinar will be available online at breachpro.com on our Protect page. Do allow about 24 hours before checking for the video so we can upload it. Finally, we'd love to hear from you. Should you have any questions during the presentation, please pop them in the chat box, and we will address them at the end of the presentation. Now on to James.
How you doing, Kiersey? Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I gotcha.
Perfect, and I'm assuming you can see my screen too.
I can indeed.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate the introduction. Thank you for the opportunity to come share and talk about identity theft and employee benefit plans and kind of how this new benefit plan is becoming so popular and why it's so important. I'm going to take the next 20 or 30 minutes to basically just give a summary of employee identity theft and how it impacts the business. Then talk about the solution, what our plans cover, kind of the pricing, and then towards the end, like you said, we can take questions. So if you have a question that you'd like me to answer towards the end, go ahead and chat it in to the web meeting tool here. So iDefend is the name of our identity theft protection program. Our company name is Invisys, and that means invisible in Latin. We've been around almost 20 years as a company doing cybersecurity and identity theft protection work, and we partnered together with Breach Pro and GLJ Benefit Solutions, and we're introduced to the ALA through that organization, and we're proud of that relationship. We've attended several conferences. I've spoken at several conferences. Maybe I've met some of you there. But iDefend is the program name that we're talking about today, so there's a lot of names of companies and brands. I don't want you to get confused about it. Suffice it to say that this program is a ALA VIP approved program, and you guys get preferential pricing and special care and whatnot, personalized care from us because you're ALA members. So let's get into the copy of the presentation here. If I can, there we go. Data breaches. I don't need to spend tons of time on this. You see them in the news headlines a lot. Most breaches you don't see. Most breaches are not in the news. But the big ones that you hear about are the ones that impact millions and millions of people. You know, the notable ones, Equifax last year, Capital One this year, First American Title this year, those big three. Literally between those three, I think 80 to 90% of Americans' data was compromised in those three data breaches. Equifax alone was 146 million people here in the United States. Capital One was millions upon millions, like 40 million something. It's astounding how much data breach activity is happening out there. And being in the security world, we see it. You may not see how much data exposure is happening. Of course, your firm, as law firms, you guys deal with confidential and sensitive information every day for your clients. You also have employee data that's confidential and sensitive, but the bad guys are going after organizations and their data, and there's not a lot that an employee or you can do to stop Equifax from having a breach or Capital One from having a breach. It just is going to happen, and we don't see an end to it. We see these companies spending millions on cybersecurity, but the hackers still find a way in and still compromise data. So you have billions of personal records exposed literally annually now. Which means that it's floating around the dark web. The data goes up for sale literally within 24 to 48 hours is when we see it hit the dark web. And then how does that translate through to identity theft? Well, those files have to get sold off to an identity theft ring, crime ring, who then sell it to an end user who's going to replicate the identity. There's a process that it goes through to buy and sell that data on these black markets until somebody's identity is actually being used, their social, their date of birth, their employer information, whatever. and then an identity is stolen. And the sad part about all this is the timing of the whole thing. And let me just walk you through the timing and how horrible this is. It takes an average of 6 months for a company to realize that they actually had a data breach, and it will take another 3 to 6 months minimum for the thief to sell the data and for the employee to ultimately become victim of an identity theft crime. So you're talking about a year out potentially from when a data breach actually took place. That timing is horrible because these criminals have that data in their hands this whole time, and who knows what's happening to wreck someone's reputation and their identity through social media and their credit and their financial accounts and whatnot. But data breaches are a big deal, and that's really the big source of identity theft problems today around the world. Virtually everyone's data is exposed. There was over 1 million tax returns filed fraudulently by identity thieves last year. The year before it was 1.4 million. So there are lots of types of ID theft, and I'll cover that in just a minute for you. But this identity theft crime has a far and deep reach into our society today. You know, and the United States and North America really is the target for identity theft globally. All these international crime rings, they want American and Canadian information. That's the reality of it. 1 in 10 children are currently victims of ID theft and don't know it. When they go to get their driver's license or apply for a student loan when they're 16, 18 years old, they find out all of a sudden that they've got a credit profile and it's ruined. They've got collection accounts, and they're unable to actually become an adult financially because of it. But 1 in 10 children, according to recent studies, are already victims through these data breaches, and they won't find out about it for years unless you're actually monitoring for child ID theft. So that's a big trend. Computers are certainly a center point for these hacks. Your home computer is still a target. Your mobile devices are still a target. The bad guys want to get after the data that you have on those devices, on that computer and your mobile devices. So recent studies are talking 1 million computers or mobile devices a day now, per day, are infected with viruses with an attempt to steal personal information. So lots of people have defenses. You know, you've got your antivirus software and you've got other things maybe you're doing to protect yourself, but the hackers are able to get through virtually anything. If they can hack Equifax, who spends, you know, 20 million, 50 million a year in security, they're going to get after individuals in their own home environment or in a work environment. And that's really a terrible state of affairs. But hackers still go after computers and viruses, and not just about data breaches. Mobile devices, that's a huge attack vector as well. I already talked about that. So let's talk about the types of identity theft. I think everybody understands that ID theft is a big bad problem. So really, where does it hit the road? These are the types of ID theft and the damages that are done in these areas. Financial account takeover, so it's bank accounts, retirement accounts, investments, other things like that. You've got credit fraud. It's new lines of credit being opened up in the victim's name that results in collection accounts, bad credit ratings, bad credit scores, prevents people from getting loans, you know, buying a home, buying a car. Credit ruin is a horrible situation to be in if you're an identity theft victim, because it takes a long time to repair that. But so credit fraud is a type of ID theft. Looks like I've got my spacing a little bit off. Medical benefit fraud is a big one. This is the fastest area of growth in ID theft. It's taking a benefit package that you have for employee benefit, using that insurance or that group number, using a prescription card, and actually getting procedures and benefits in the victim's name. And the deductibles and the payments and the collections that come with it come right back to the employee. So medical benefit fraud is huge and fast growing. It's the #1 fastest area of growth. So when you saw Blue Cross and Blue Shield get hit and several other large insurance providers, they're going straight after medical information. They want medical history. They want the insurance information. They want to know the financial accounts tied to it to make payments. And they literally will sell off these benefit packages in order to get procedures done for people who don't have insurance. It's a sad crime, and it goes global with this one. Pretty scary. Tax return fraud, I mentioned that. Fraudulent filings of returns before you can file your own. Social Security fraud is a big one. It's hitting your benefits before you get them, and that really messes with things when you want to try and use your own Social Security benefits. If it's already been used by a thief and you don't know it, you're in trouble. You've got some ground to make up, and it's a very difficult thing to recover from. Employment fraud is an interesting one. There's a trend of identity thieves using an stolen identity to apply for jobs, create W-2s or W-9s, and perpetrate employment fraud. So when you hire an employee, it's entirely possible that person could have a fraudulent identity, and they could be committing employment fraud, and you'd be the victim as an employer. But employment fraud is a growing thing. Payroll mirroring fraud is another one that comes along with this, where they try to mirror payroll runs through W-2s and through paychecks if you do online payroll processing. The criminals are very savvy, very smart, and they're using things like employee relationships to commit fraud in their own W-2 world. So driver's license fraud, that ties to criminal records fraud. You could have a criminal record in your name and not know it. Oftentimes people think of identity theft as just credit fraud, like my credit card was stolen, or I lost my wallet and I had some information in there. Hopefully nobody carries their Social Security number or any other personally identifiable information in their wallets, but identity theft is a lot more than just credit fraud. It's not about losing a card or having fraudulent transactions run up on a credit card, or it's more than just having your bank account hacked and having money stolen out of it. Those are types of identity theft, but the root of identity theft boils down to your personal information. It's your social, your date of birth, and any other personal information like that they can use to create an identity in that victim's name. But these are the types of fraud that occur when somebody gathers that information up. So it's important to understand that identity theft is much farther reaching than most of your employees will understand. And they need to be made aware that medical fraud can happen, tax return fraud can happen, and it's important that they know who to turn to when these things happen. With so many people already having their information exposed, the statistics are not in the favor of your employee base. A large percentage of them, we venture to guess that half of your current employee base has experienced identity theft or is going to right away experience identity fraud. Statistically speaking, 16 million adults last year alone filed identity theft complaints. 16 million. That was those who reported it. So it's actually much larger than that. So there is a significant percentage of your employee base who have experienced ID theft or will very shortly. So this is something that's got to be front and center to your employee's mindset. And as an employer, you can do something about it to make things better. Child ID theft, I wanted to throw up there again as a type of ID theft. So there's your general basis for the types of fraud that can be perpetrated once an identity thief has your information. The damage to employees, I'll just put them up on the screen. Stress and anxiety, of course, distractions, absenteeism, we like that word. You can be at work, but you're distracted and you're dealing with an ID theft problem, or you're calling a bank to deal with something, or the credit bureaus. It takes a lot of hours to go through and deal with an identity theft case if you try to fight this on your own. But ruined credit, financial losses can come. Recovery time on trying to battle this, can last up to a year or more, trying to restore your identity to pre-theft status. Employees will suffer a lot. You would suffer a lot if you didn't have an expert solution to back you up and take care of this problem for you. And victims of ID theft spend an average of $3,000 to $5,000 out of pocket trying to do the recovery work. So we find that employees or anybody who's a victim of ID theft really should have help, should have insurance for this. And that's kind of where we go with solving this problem for employees. There are risks to your organization with employee ID theft, and this is an important area to note. It's not just about the damage and the risk to an individual or to a family. There are risks to your firm. And when an employee has their identity compromised, they can compromise the business credentials at the same time. So many employees work from home or take a mobile device to do work, or when they travel, if you have an attorney who's on site at a client location, if people travel in airports, a lot of people use personal devices, or they will do some work from home. You may do some work from home. when your identity is exposed, that if they're on a home computer or if they're on a work computer at home or traveling, they are searching for that individual's personal information, but they are also going to look for exposure and access to their employer. So business credential exposure is a huge problem. Their email credentials, their network logins, their VPNs, these guys are looking for anything they can find to get into their employer. So when an employee suffers identity theft, that means they've been compromised. That means that they've got information that could lead them right in through a back door to your firm. And that's why monitoring for employees is so important. If we sense or pick up that an employee has been compromised, we've got to take immediate action to close all the gaps and make sure that they don't get to the organization that they work for. That's a major risk, but the result of it ultimately is a data breach. If an employee becomes compromised and they get to the company, to the firm, that can result in the theft of all client data and all other employee data. We see this happening. We've had organizations that have come to us seek help where this very scenario has happened, where people work from home and then suddenly full client lists are exposed, and now the whole law firm itself is in a data breach situation, which is a whole different ballgame than what we're talking about here. Much more serious for the law firm than just having an employee have an identity theft problem. And then, of course, you have lost employee productivity. It costs time and money and effort for somebody to fight this. Your employee will be stressed out and have low productivity during that recovery time. So this statistic is the scary one, that 1 in 4 breaches are now caused by employees as of last year. The statistic is around 24% actually, but the Ponemon Institute does a study every year, and that number is actually a little lower than it was the year before. But 25% of data breaches in the United States were caused by employees last year. So this should put it in real terms for you. Why should your firm be looking at a really great ID theft plan for employees? This is one of the #1 reasons why. Protect your employees so that you can protect your firm, protect your business, okay? So an employee benefit program has 2 huge benefits. It's a fantastic benefit for the employee, but then it's also a way to protect the firm against backdoor attacks through the employee base. So the benefits of offering an ID theft protection plan, here are the big 4 benefits. I'll put them up here. Attract and retain talent. 33, 35, 38% of employer groups are currently offering ID theft protection as a benefit. This has become a competitive world for hiring the best talent, and your benefits package should now include ID theft protection as a benefit. So you want to be able to leverage really great, hot, exciting, timely new benefits to attract people and retain your talent. Productivity, that's another benefit of offering this out. Keep people from distractions. If ID theft does happen, you don't want them dragged out for a year on this and stressed out. So productivity is a huge benefit for an employer. If someone suffers from this, then they have an expert, they got a team, they've got help, and productivity stays intact. Third big benefit, protecting the business. We've talked about that. Protect your firm against backdoor attacks. And then the last one is it's a non-taxable benefit. The IRS ruled back in 2016 that you can expense this out as a non-taxable benefit to your employees. So that's another great reason to offer ID theft protection out there. Let me spend just a few minutes now telling you about what iDefend is. This product has been around for a number of years. I think we're going on our 8th year in the market with this product. Like I said, our company is around 2 decades old, but this product is about 8 years old, and we have employer groups all over the country, throughout North America from coast to coast, who utilize iDefend as their employee benefit protection plan. And there's a reason why we are growing in popularity, and that is because of what you see at the top of the screen right there where it says protection for the digital age. We are a cybersecurity company, not just an ID theft company. Some of our big name competitors that advertise on the radio that you hear a lot, or even infomercials, they just do ID theft protection. That's really what they are. They're good marketing companies at that. We believe, and our philosophy, our commitment is that in the digital age, you've got to go beyond just ID theft monitoring. You have to have robust digital age protection for ID theft. So we engineered our product years ago to incorporate cybersecurity elements into it. We were the first company in the world to do it. With LifeLock being bought by Norton and Symantec, of course, now they throw an antivirus into their solution, but we look at that as more of a copycat of what we've been doing for 8 years. But you do need enhanced next-gen protection for employees today, and that's got to incorporate computers and mobile devices and other things into it. But here are the essentials of what you've got to look for in an employee benefit program, in an ID theft plan, okay? You need full ID theft monitoring. What I mean by that is monitoring for credit fraud, medical fraud, SSN fraud, bank and financial accounts, change of address fraud, utilities fraud, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You've got to have full ID theft monitoring and the alerts, the real-time alerts and reports that come with it, and that's what iDefend includes. So we are monitoring for virtually every type of ID theft and identity fraud, and we alert our members immediately when we find something. We do credit monitoring, reports, and scores on our Elite plan. That's with Experian, that does all of our credit monitoring for us. We do additional credit protection resources. In other words, helping and showing people how to do fraud alerts, credit freezes, how to review their credit report, correct it, dispute it. There's some resources available in our online account center that help members go through that credit protection process. Privacy protection is another big benefit. We want to help them minimize junk mail, telemarketing calls, spam email. These are all sources where hackers are trying to get you to be tricked into clicking on things and exposing yourself or your company. So we want to teach them and show them how to do privacy protection to a whole new level. We want to minimize, like I say, junk mail and telemarketing calls. We'll show them a little bit how to do that in these resources online. We do lost wallet protection. We've got an online wallet vault where they can enter the contents digitally into an online vault. And so if you ever lose your wallet or purse or whatever, all your information is right there online. It makes it super easy and slick with our assistants to go through and recover and restore those contents. So there's a great lost wallet protection benefit. We have a hotline for ID theft. It's just a phone number or an email. They just pick up the phone and call anytime they got a question or concern. And I'll tell you, employees use this a lot. This is probably our most popular feature right here. If they've lost a purse or a wallet, we get a phone call. If they pick up a potentially fraudulent charge on a credit card, we get a phone call. Because people really don't know if it's fraud or if it's not. If there's a scam email sitting in their inbox, or their spouse at home accidentally clicked on something and exposed weakness, and all of a sudden a hacker's on their home computer, we get a phone call. So we give this hotline number out to the employees so that they know, hey, if you ever feel like you've got a question, a concern, or you know you've got a problem on your hands, call our hotline. And we have a full call center, US based, right here in the United States, that we've trained. We hire the guys, we train them, we build them up, and we teach them how to do this, how to fight the bad guys, hand-to-hand combat online. And our experts go to work to defend our members immediately. So we're not outsourcing this stuff to other companies. We do it all in-house. This hotline is a powerful, powerful benefit. Full ID theft recovery services are included. So no matter the type of ID theft, whether it's medical or tax or driver's license, we go to work to restore the identity to pre-theft status, and that's all included, all the legal costs. We have our own legal team that goes to work and takes care of it, and we'll spend up to $1 million on an insurance program to pay for any of the expenses that the employee might have to come out of pocket with, like if they have to go to court to defend themselves or whatever, if they have to hire their own attorney locally. We will spend up to $1 million, and so they should have nothing out of pocket. That $3,000 to $5,000 out of pocket number you saw before, our members never have to spend a dime because we're paying for it. These are the essentials, and every good ID theft protection plan should have these essentials. Of course, this is the baseline for what we do with iDefend, but we go the extra mile. We do more than just that because we care about protection for the digital age. So we add to the essentials some advanced protection benefits. Firstly, and probably most importantly, we do twice a year computer security checkups for our members' home computers. And if they're on our family plan, we will do that up to 3 computers in the household. What that means is they're going to get a reminder notice from us saying it's time for your computer security checkup. We will remotely connect in from our trained call center guys right here, and they will say, let's connect in. We give them a secure code online. They got to enter it. They grant access to us to go log into their system remotely, and we will spend up to an hour or more cleaning their machine top to bottom. We are looking for ransomware. We're looking for viruses and hacker tools, keyloggers. We are also digging into their browser settings, into their OS, and make sure their updates are done. Imagine that level of protection being done. If you were to try and get this service anywhere else, you would spend a couple $100 We normally charge $100 for this service, but we throw it in at no cost. Every one of your employees would get this twice a year computer and mobile device checkup. If they don't have a computer, we're going to do that same type of checkup on their primary mobile device, whether it's a phone or a tablet. We want to make sure that they're clean, running safe, that their security settings are proper, that their antivirus is working right. If it's not, we fix it. We make sure that it's taken care of. We want them locked down, protected, and have that peace of mind. Imagine the benefit to your firm now. Now your employees' home computers are being checked a couple of times a year to make sure there's no backdoor entrances back to the firm. What a powerful benefit to your firm that this is offered at no extra cost to the employee. And when you see our pricing for this product, you're going to be amazed that we're able to do it. And how can we do it? Well, because this is the core of everything we do. We are a cybersecurity company, and so this is the core of every service we offer, is this type of hands-on, white glove treatment. We want people to feel like we've rolled the red carpet out for them, and that's what this benefit does. So very powerful, very beneficial thing that's done twice a year for every member. We also do social media monitoring, and this is growing in importance as time goes on. We look at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and we are monitoring for instances of identity and privacy information exposure. We are looking for harassment, bullying, profanity, cyber stalking, and other privacy risks. All of this mayhem that happens on social media out there can result in not just identity fraud, but actually victimizing, for child sex predators and everything else that's evil out there runs, it seems, through social media these days, one form or another. And so we actually proactively 24/7 monitor our members' social media presence. We do it for their teen children and everything else. And we want to make sure that a bad guy is not targeting a family or an individual through social media to get to their identity or to their employer. So social media monitoring is another big thing that we do, and we've done this now for 5 years. We were way ahead of the curve when we launched this, and it's still one of our more powerful and interesting benefits. Our family plan members who have their whole family covered love this one because they want to be able to monitor their children as their children start doing social media. I have my own beliefs and preferences on when a child should not be on social media or which apps they should have, but everybody does crazy things I find out there, so monitoring this stuff is really, really important. The last thing is called CyberHood Watch, and basically this is a series of benefits from alerts and education, online safety education that's provided to our members. We give them access to sex offender and crime maps in their local area. We've partnered with law enforcement agencies in local areas to provide us with maps to zip codes where sex offenders are, where crime is happening. This helps them kind of defend themselves in their own home, in their own neighborhoods. This is advanced protection, and there is not a single other benefit program on the market today that does what I just showed you here. Others will throw antivirus at the problem, or a password protector, or a couple of little tools. And we used to do some of those things, but what we found is the members don't do it. They don't use it. They don't take full advantage of it. What we have learned over time, because we've done this for a long time, is that employees need to be handheld. People need to be taken care of. And so when we proactively reach out to one of our members and say, hey, it's time for a computer security checkup, they love this because we're taking care of them. We're not waiting for them to do something. And this is the big flaw in pretty much every other benefit plan for ID theft out there. It's reactive in nature, and they're expecting the employee to download and install and manage their cybersecurity. That doesn't work. You don't get much good adoption. You don't get much protection that way. Our solution is hands-on. It's rolling the red carpet out for people. It's the Rolls Royce of the business, right? That's what we like to say. So we are advanced protection. Everybody gets an online account, so they have their own login where they can come in and get kind of all their reports and alerts and read about things. All the resources are here, including setting up their computer checkups, registering their computers in our system. It's all done online through an account. This is just a screenshot so you can see what that looks like. Now onto the benefit program itself. I'm assuming most of you or all of you are either firm administrators or in HR. Here's how our benefit program works. We want to make this super simple and easy for everybody. We offer it in two forms. There's a blanket coverage program and there's a voluntary enrollment program. Your firm would choose one of the two. You either opt in to say, you know what, we love all our employees, we want to take care of them, we're going to do blanket coverage. We at least want each employee to have their own personal protection plan. And it's paid by the firm, paid by the employer. That's blanket coverage. Everybody's covered personally, individually. That doesn't include family or spouse, but you can add that extra coverage, and I'll go through that in just a minute. But blanket coverage is our most popular option. Most of our clients, because of the way we price this, we've made it super affordable for your organization to just cover everybody and call it good. If you choose not to go that route and not to pay for the protection as a perk for everybody, you can roll out the voluntary enrollment program, which costs your firm nothing. There's zero cost to get started and roll this one out. Voluntary enrollment is just like any other benefit, voluntary benefit. They enroll in the plan of their choice. We give them the options. They're able to give us their information. We get them started, send them their emails, and it's on their way. But they pay for it through payroll deduction, and we would coordinate through your payroll processing and your benefit platform in order to accommodate all of that. We have APIs and web service plugins, so we can automate all of this through a platform if you have a platform, or we can work off of a more manual approach. If you're a smaller firm, makes no difference to us one way or the other. There's no minimum size requirements. There's no maximum limit on numbers of employees you can put in. Very scalable, very flexible, tailored specifically to how you want to make this work for you guys. So one of the things we can do is jump on the phone with you and kind of discuss the differences between blanket and voluntary. If you want like a quote, if you want to know, hey, what's the best for us, we can go through and just consult with you and tell you what what we think, and then help you make that decision to roll this out. But anyway, blanket, voluntary. I think you understand that. Blanket coverage, like I said before, is coverage for the entire group, paid by the employer, but the employees can add additional coverage if they want to through payroll deduction. So this is a hybrid where you would pay for their personal care and coverage, and then they would, through payroll, pay for a spouse or a family member or the whole entire family. There's three basic plans. You got employee coverage, employee plus one, and then employee plus family that includes all the children and the spouse. So the family plan will include spouse and all children up to the age of 18 in the household. But if you're looking at the pricing, this is where I'm saying how amazing this is. Literally, under blanket coverage, your firm can offer employee coverage for $4 a month. That's with those cybersecurity checkups, social media monitoring, full ID theft recovery, the $1 million service guarantee, the whole 9 yards for $4 a month. This is why most of our employer groups seriously consider doing this essentials plan at $4 a month. We have a growing number of people who are opting for the elite plan. It's a little bit more money. You're up at $10 a month to add Experian credit monitoring reports and credit scores into it. The bureaus definitely charge money for what they do, but to offer up our full elite plan to the employee, you can do that for $10 a month per employee, and have everybody on credit monitoring and cybersecurity checkups, and that's our elite plan. It's a fabulous program, and that is a very aggressive price point at $10 a month for that. If you have a large group, if you're over 250 employees, we can drop the rates of that elite plan down fairly significantly and get pretty aggressive on that. So we do have large group discounted blanket coverage pricing for you that isn't shown here on the screen. If they want to add a spouse or a child to their plan, they take an upgrade to the plus one, and they're going to add $8 or $10 a month, and that'll come out through payroll deduction. And then if they want to add the whole family, it's just $12 extra. So here's the scenario that a lot of people like. Decide to maybe do the $4 or the $10 coverage, but for $12 or so extra coming out of the employee's paycheck, so $6 every other week, $6 twice a month, they're getting full family coverage, spouse and all their children covered. That's an amazing benefit, very, very low cost. And with that family plan, they're going to get 3 computers checked twice a year, all their mobile devices covered and checked twice a year. What a powerful protection plan for not a lot of money. And we can do this because we've done it now for almost 20 years, and cybersecurity is the core of everything that we do. So if you have questions later on about that pricing, let me know if you want to enter a question in the chat. So let's talk voluntary enrollment really quick. If they want to pay for it themselves and you don't want to offer blanket coverage as a firm, you don't have to. They just voluntarily enroll. So during your open enrollment period, we don't require any specific open enrollment. You can launch this program today and have it active on the 1st of September. If you enroll in September anytime as a firm, your coverage would activate and start on October 1. So we start on a calendar month basis. Whenever your firm gets started, you pick a start date. You want to start October 1, boom, there you go. And we get everything done in advance in the month before. But voluntary enrollment is real straightforward and simple. When an employee enrolls anytime during the month, their coverage starts the first of the next month, and you can start deducting payroll accordingly, the amount from their payroll. But the employee coverage, if they want to voluntarily opt in, is $8 a month. For the Elite Plan, $15. You can see the pricing here. Up to $16 a month for the full family plan on the Essentials, or $25 if you want full credit monitoring for the adults in the household. Again, very cost-effective pricing for a voluntary benefit plan. Again, this is something that you can do as a payroll deduction. So that's voluntary enrollment. And that is all the information I had to share today. I think we've used up most of our half hour or 35 minutes here giving you information. Just going forward, before I get to any questions you might have, if you want more information or a quote, the good people at Breach Pro, Curtis Shepard is one of our primary account manager there for the ALA members. You can reach out to him, and there's a phone number on the screen and then an email address there. They've got a great team there at GLJ and Breach Pro that can help get a quote and talk to you about how this might work for your firm. So I think, you know, Kirsty, I think I'm done with the primary content. I don't know if I see any questions on there. Do you? I don't see any yet. Okay. Or we can open up the phone lines if you want to do that too. Yep.
I just want to say thanks first off, James. That a lot of information there. A few things that kind of stuck out to me. Number one, that stat that you said, 1 in 4 breaches caused by employees in 2018. That's you know, not a small amount. So something to definitely be aware of. And I definitely appreciated some 3 points in regards to the iDefend program. That's powerful. Attract and retain talent. It's a non-taxable benefit, and it's protection for the employee and the firm. So that's super awesome. And like James said, if anybody has any questions, please go ahead and pop them in that chat over there. I guess I did have one question maybe that might get the ball rolling.
Sure.
What's the process for signing up? Other than, you know, giving Breach Pro and InfoSafe giving us a call, how does the process work?
There's a simple one-page enrollment form for the firm where you select whether you're doing blanket coverage or voluntary enrollment, and you give us, we set up a billing relationship on that form. It's whether we're doing monthly invoicing or credit card payment or however you want to do it. Basically, that establishes the relationship, and we create the employer account in our system off of that one-pager. That can be emailed or faxed to us. There's no sensitive information there. It's just really just getting your firm enrolled. Once that's done and you've chosen either the blanket or the other voluntary enrollment plan, we will provide you with the enrollment processes to get a census for the entire group into our hands, either through spreadsheet or through your platform, your benefits platform, and then we can coordinate with your payroll processing company or with you directly, either way, to create the voluntary enrollment process or the upgraded enrollment processes. There might be, you know, depending on your system, there might be a little bit of integration work on the back end for us to make it fully automated between your system and ours. But the good news about this is we literally can, from the time you reach out to us and say, I'm interested, we can have you launched and started in under a month, in under 30 days. So within a few weeks, everything's going to be set up and done and ready to roll. This doesn't take much. We've had firms launch in as little as, you know, a few days, depending on what your system is there and what your needs and wants are. So, you know, once the firm's enrolled with us, you know, as an employer, we just do the integration and get you all the documentation and automation that you need to plug this right into your platform.
Awesome. I have a question from Lisa. She says, speak a little more on the non-taxable benefit. Seems this would need to be a post-tax payroll deduction and considered a voluntary deduction.
Yes, if the employer pays for it on blanket coverage, then it's an expense to the company, tax deductible expense to the company on blanket coverage. Voluntary enrollment plans, it is a post-tax payroll deduction. The IRS has a ruling on it that you can read more information about. if you want to know specifics about the tax consequences. But you know, it is definitely tax deductible to the company if the company pays for it.
Awesome. All right. We'll go ahead and open up the phone lines real quick and see if we have any other questions. There we go. Any other lingering questions? All right, it looks like maybe we're good. Okay, well, thank you all for joining us today, and thank you, James, for your timely insight. If you would like to sign up for the iDefend program, or if you have any lingering questions regarding identity theft protection and the iDefend program in the coming days, please give our office a call at 888-835-0850 and ask for Curtis Shepard. He is our Breach Pro specialist for the ALA members. Or go ahead and email us at info@breachpro.com. Thank you again, and we hope you have a great day.